This is Healthy Souls with Father Nicholas Lowe, helping you to live a Christ-filled life in today's world. Father Nicholas is the pastor of St. John the Divine Greek Orthodox Church in Jacksonville, Florida.
Today I want to talk to you about, I believe, one of the most serious topics that we oftentimes do not talk about. It is, to me, one of the greatest health problems impacting our society. 1 in 9 people is currently on medication for this health problem. 1 in 5 people have been on medication for this health struggle. Over 40,000 people in this country die every year from this health concern, this health struggle. It is the leading cause of death from children ages 15 to 24. It has twice the murder rate in our country. Is this one struggle that so many people are facing? What is it? Depression. Despair. The definition of depression is extreme sorrow, extreme hopelessness, and sadness. Many of us, as we journey through our life, may not currently be in a season of depression, but inevitably we have been or might experience a season of depression. And for sure, someone in our life may be going through a season of depression. And many times, this disease, this struggle that many people struggle with, they struggle with it in private. Because for many of us, it's not something that you want to go about and talk about. We deal with it internally. I had someone once tell me, Father Nick, I'm just kind of journeying through life, faking it to make it. When I was in my second year at the seminary, it was a difficult time for me at the school, and if you've ever gone to the seminary and been part of the seminary program, a full-time program, you are taking at least 7 courses every semester. So a typical master's program is about anywhere between 2 to 3 classes. When you're at the seminary, it's 7 classes every semester. And at that time, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was working on 2 master's degrees. So I was taking about 10 classes every single semester. And during that time, my grandmother, my dad's mom, passed away. She was someone that was very, very close to me. You know, it's that yaya that you always are connected to and close to. I always kind of thought that I was the apple of her eyes, and so I know that many of my family tune in and watch, so I'm just saying that's my opinion. I'm not saying it's the truth, but I always felt that I was the apple of her eyes. And so not only that, but she was just an extraordinary woman of faith. Shortly thereafter, my dad's brother suddenly kind of passed away as well from cancer at a very, very young age, at 51 years old. It was a very, very taxing time for me during that time. And I really couldn't lean on people. And when you're at the seminary, and I don't know, some of you that may be going through a season of depression and sadness, sometimes you don't like to talk about it because you know that if you tell someone about it, they might say, hey, come on, get over it. Just start smiling. It could be, you could have it worse than you could have it worse than someone else has it worse off than you. You tend to just kind of keep that. And there's also a negative stigma that's oftentimes attached to mental illnesses. And I will tell you that during that time, I kind of just withdrawed myself. I kind of just went to class, really wasn't smiling, wasn't really engaged into the life at the seminary, would go to class, go to chapel, come back. Go to class, go to chapel, and come back. And there was a priest that was at the seminary at that time who called me out. He said, Nick, you look so different. You've been acting so different from your first year here to your second year here. What's going on? And I was trying to fake it to make it. Everything is going great. Glory to God. It's all good in my life. Everything's just going perfectly in my life. I was faking it to make it. The problem is that I wasn't a good faker and I wasn't a good maker. And so he said to me, he says, Nick, you don't need to fake it for me. What's really going on? And I just told him I felt like I was in a really dark place. I was in a very sad, sad place. I felt like I just didn't know what I really wanted to do. I was in a season of just kind of extreme sadness, extreme sorrow. And he told me something that I want to speak over all of you today. He said this: it's okay for you not to be okay. It's okay for you not to be okay. And some of you in this church, you may be going through a season of depression right now. You may want to keep it withdrawn and on the inside. Maybe some of you know someone who's going through that. Listen to me. It's okay for you not to be okay. And what I want you to understand is this important principle for you to share with those people that you know or maybe even yourself. God doesn't want you to fake it to make it. He's wanting you to give it to Him so that He can take it. No matter what depression and sadness may be coming against you right now, it is not greater than the God who is inside of you right now. Just because something is happening to you does not mean that God is not working in you. You know, the saint that we celebrate today, his name is Saint John Climacus. He was never silent about this topic. It's amazing how the church fathers understood depression and distress in an extraordinary way. Sometimes I feel like they were more comfortable talking about it than we are in our own churches and in our own society today. St. John Climacus lived about the 7th century. If you ever want a great book to read, he wrote a book called The Ladder of Divine Ascent. If any of you are in book clubs, this is a book to read. It's an extraordinary book that speaks about different steps that one can take as we're trying to draw closer to being with Christ. And he says this amazing statement. He says, do not be surprised when you face a season of sadness, a season of overwhelming depression. You lose a loved one that you've been married to for many years. You get a divorce. Someone undermines your relationship. You see everybody else having good times in their life, happy in their life, and you're not. Whatever that area is of depression that you're struggling with, he was saying, don't be surprised by it. Everyone will go through it. And then he has this great statement. He says, but stand your ground, because the angel of God is going to reward you for your patience. What does that mean? Do you know that you have an angel that's sitting right next to you right now? You have an angel standing next to you right now. During the Divine Liturgy, we say, an angel of peace, a faithful guide, a guardian of my souls and bodies. When you hear that, you have a guardian angel that's standing right next to you right now. And I just want to give you some encouragement that you have an angelos irinis piston odigon, an angel of peace, a faithful guide right next to you when you're going through that season of darkness. So what are some steps that we can take, or if we know someone's going through depression, we can encourage them with? I think there's 3 ways, and let me tell you, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I oftentimes joke with people, I'm married one so that my therapy could be for free. So I'm just telling you straight up from now that I give you what I think are some ways that you can use, some practical steps that if, or better yet, when you go through this season, you can use them. Here's number 1, and write these down if they're helpful for you. Number 1, don't trust your thoughts. You are the last person you need to be trusting when you're going through a season of darkness in your life. The Bible talks about this countless times. It says to us in the book of Philippians chapter 4, verses 18 and 19, it says, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is right, think about those things, and the God of peace will be around you. Your thoughts, listen to me, will lie to you. 80% of what you're thinking about today, even right now, are lies that we have bought into and we believe. The problem is that our thoughts become our actions. We have a fear, it becomes an action in our life. We're afraid, scared. We have a season of darkness, I have a thought coming into my mind, it must be reality. Your thoughts will lead to actions. And so how do you deal with it? If you're not trusting your thoughts, what that means is you tune into your thoughts, think about what you're thinking about. You test those thoughts. If those thoughts do not make me a better person, if they're not what God says about me or what the church tells about me, listen to me, I'm going to be very honest with you. Look, it's a lie. It's a lie. And the devil is searching for you like a roaring lion, there to steal, kill, and destroy. And if you don't think so, then you're already caught by him. You have to know that's what he's after. So if you tune in, you test it, and then you transform it. I know that I have nothing to worry about because my God died on the cross and loves me. Do not trust your thoughts. Number 2, do not stay in isolation. If you've known anyone who's going through depression, oftentimes what they do is they'll stay to themselves. They withdraw themselves. They never want to go out. They never want to be with other people. They just simply recluse. They stay to themselves. And the reason is because there's this false narrative that they've created in their mind that they just need to stay by themselves. Let me tell you something. The quickest way to get through a season of depression is to get up and get out. Some of you might say, Father, I'm not alone. I got people in my house. Yeah, but many of you have people in your house that you cannot talk to about your season of depression and darkness. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say to me, Father, I cannot talk to my husband about what I'm going through right now. He doesn't understand. Or he'll just simply tell me, get over it. You've got to find people. I would argue you need to find the church and be in the church that are going to feed you and be a safe place for you to land when you're going through that season of depression. That's why it's so important to be in church, so that you can get some of that spiritual koinonia, that holy body and holy bread of our Savior. And so I just want to encourage you, don't be by yourself. I would also encourage you, don't be afraid to get psychological help. Some of you journey day after day and week after week and year after year struggling with a disease that you're trying to use willpower to accomplish. It does not work. In the book of Ecclesiastes, if you're looking for a book to read, it says, if you go toe-to-toe with the devil, face-to-face with him, you will lose. It is only when you have someone to have your back. And that phrase, having your back, comes from the book of Ecclesiastes. You got to have someone that you can lean on that has your back when you're in that season. And then number 3 is give it to God. Give your life to God. You know, in this season of Great Lent, in the Orthodox Church, you should all know this, there are 9 services every day in the Orthodox Church, not including Divine Liturgy. Every one of those services, every single day, has a certain meaning behind it. In the evening service, they call this apodipnon. Literally means after the dinner prayer. After the dinner prayer is all about, it's called compline in English, by the way, that it's all about this one theme, Jesus going down to Hades and destroying it. That one service is about Christ conquering death. And then there's an amazing song. It's only sung during the season of Lent, during this service. And it goes like this. Lord of the powers, Kyrie ton dynameon, methimon ienu. Lord of the powers, be with me. Listen to this, because the church fathers knew that we would go through depression and distress. For in my times of distress and depression, I've got no other help but you, Lord. Lord, you are of the powers. Have mercy on me. And we've inserted that into your worship guide, that if you go through that season, I just encourage you, pray that, Lord, I don't have anyone else I can lean on right now. I'm going through this season. You are Lord of the powers. In my time of distress, I'm just leaning on you. Because your thoughts during the season of depression will tell you that you have control over what you're going through. Just surrender it to God. I leave you with this. We're talking about a very serious topic today. The topic that maybe half of you are not even relating to, or maybe not dealing with right now, and I understand that. But what I'm doing is trying to prepare you for either when you will, or to give someone encouragement when they will. I heard this story recently about an amazing man who lived in the early 1900s. His name was Horatio Spafford. I don't know if you've heard of him. But if you ever get some time, you should read about him. He lost everything in the Chicago fires. And in his life, as a minister, he had 4 daughters, happily married. And when he lost everything during the Chicago fires, he told his wife, let's go take a little vacation. I'll stay back to kind of get everything organized in our life. But why don't you guys go on a cruise? And this was before airplanes were what they are right now. And so this mom and her 4 daughters went on a cruise to Europe. As they were crossing over the Atlantic, they were hit by another ship. The 4 daughters were thrown from that ship into the sea. all 4 of the daughters would die. And the mother would send back a telegram to her husband, and she simply said 2 words. She said, "Alone, safe." Horatian's life was turned upside down. His entire family, 4 daughters, just like that, perished. And so he immediately took the cruise ship over to go and see his wife. And as he's crossing over, you can imagine this father, as he's crossing over the Atlantic, the captain of the ship that he was on said, "I'm willing to stop the ship so that we can pay respects to your daughters that died in this cruise ship accident." And the father, Horatian, goes up to the bow of the ship, and he's sitting there looking off at the river, the ocean before him, and the sea so calm, knowing that just a few days earlier it had taken the life of his family. And he looks there, and as he's doing this, in the midst of his depression, in the midst of his darkness, he has this extreme warmth that comes over him. And he says this, he says that no matter what I'm going through, no matter how the waves are billowing over me, he says this statement, "It is well with my soul." It is well with my soul. He was saying, in my season of despair, it's going to be okay. In my season of depression, it's okay. That when I feel darkness around me, it is well with my soul. And many of you, if you've ever listened to Christian music, especially in the West, this is one of the most famous Christian songs that are out there. It is called "It Is Well With My Soul," and I encourage all of you, listen to the words. It's an amazing song. Horatio Spafford would end up going to meet his wife, and then they would go to Jerusalem. If you've ever been to Jerusalem, there's a place called the American Colony. And there, the American Colony, this guy's extraordinary. He ends up setting up a food kitchen for Muslims, Jews, and Christians. That's still operational today, by the way. During the Armenian genocide, during the wars that took place, it was Horatio Spafford who was setting up meal support for those people. It is well with my soul. And my encouragement for you, if you are in a season right now, it's going to be okay. It is well with your soul. If you know someone that's going through a season of darkness right now, you remind them that Horatio Spafford lost 4 daughters in a tragic accident, and yet muster up the faith and the energy to say, "It is well with my soul." And I'm encouraging you, don't trust those thoughts. Let God's thoughts guide your thoughts. Don't be by yourself. Don't live in isolation. The devil will always speak the loudest when you are the quietest. And surrender your life for him. He doesn't need you to fake it to make it. He just wants you to give it to him so that he can continue.
We invite you to join Father Nick and his wife, Dr. Roxanne Lowe, on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month for their Healthy Minds, Healthy Souls call-in show at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Ancient Faith Talk.